What's up, guys? Today we're going to be breaking down the showroom and ranking the best bonuses from worst to best. So let's get into it. Alright, so today we are talking about the showroom. And the showroom is really a preview of the future of this game as the game gravitates towards Nebula versus Nebula content. Ultimately, your performance in the Nebula versus Nebula events is going to determine how many of these medals that you get here. As you can see, there are memory cubes and there are alien cubes, and these can be used to unlock various bonuses. And so it's going to take some time to fill these all out, and a fair amount of these bonuses specifically benefit your performance in upcoming Nebula versus Nebula content, both what's already released and stuff that has yet to come out. So we're going to be ranking how you should be investing your memory cubes and alien cubes. So we're going to start with the alien cubes, of which there's only 2 trees to go down. So coming in at number 2, military architecture. So as you can see here, you will be getting as a primary and secondary bonuses 19.5% storage center capacity at max, which is nice, but it's not particularly combat related, and we're definitely putting an emphasis on things that offer a combat benefit for the purposes of our evaluations. And 33% total warship attack. Now that's actually really nice because that works in any and all game modes. That's just 33% more attack for all types of warships, so that's really good. Additionally, 31.5% more warship attack during cross nebula. So again, that's really, really good. And then 24% warship shield during cross nebula combat. And 24% isn't a crazy amount of shield, and shield is just weighted a bit less than things like HP and attack as it is, so that's all right. But there's 2 pretty good bonuses here: total warship attack and warship attack during cross nebula combat. And coming in at number 1, Old Federation history. The only other one that you can actually spend the alien cubes on has just slightly better bonuses than the alternative. For starters, 99% increased spaceport defense cannon attack. That is tremendously powerful for when you are being attacked by other players. It's a really good safety measure. But in addition to that one being pretty good, every other bonus offered here is very, very strong. So you have the other base bonus, which is 33% total warship HP, which is kind of the offset to the 33% warship attack that the other one has. It's going to make your entire fleet much more tanky. But then here are the particularly good ones: 31.5% warship attack during cross nebula combat. So you're also getting a nice boost to your attack, in particular for NBN content. And then finally, 24% warship armor during cross nebula combat. So essentially 3 of these 4 bonuses will benefit you in NBN combat, and then 2 of them will benefit you outside of it, still for combat purposes. So for that reason, we found this one to be the superior pick when it comes to spending your alien cubes. So now let's talk about the memory cubes. Coming in at number 8, Imperial Psychology. So as you can see here, we found this one to overall be the least valuable just because it's a bit all over the place. So for starters, you've got 49.5% planet development, all resources output, and that is undeniably pretty good. However, that's not particularly helpful for combat, which is the main thing that we're emphasizing with this list. And the additions that you get another 49.5% flagship attack. But as we've discussed in other videos, your flagship doesn't actually provide that much of the overall damage coming from your fleet. So while that's a moderate amount, it's buffing a small percentage of your overall damage output. 84% frigate HP during cross nebula combat. Now that is very, very good if you are running a frigate heavy defensive fleet, because right now cruisers are still the meta. We don't weight this as highly. And then it's followed up finally with 48% destroyer armor during cross nebula combat. But right now destroyers just aren't particularly good. There aren't a lot of high-end fleets that really revolve around destroyers, so we don't find that one to be particularly valuable. So the only thing here that really, really helps you in combat is a nice health boost to frigates if you're even running frigates in the first place. Coming in at number 7, Galaxy Folklore. I actually misclicked and put points into this initially, but I do find this to be the second worst option for your memory cubes. So don't make the mistake that I did. As for what you're getting, you get 23% spaceport construction speed, which is nice, but again, not particularly relevant to combat. You do get 20% total warship attack, and that applies to all game modes, so that is very, very nice. However, the only additions you get to that, you get 52.5% destroyer attack during cross nebula combat, but you're probably not using destroyers just because they're particularly weak in the meta at the moment. And you get 48% frigate shield during cross nebula combat. And again, the shield and armor buffs aren't quite as potent as the HP or attack buffs as it is. And then this only benefits frigates in particular. So again, if you're running a frigate heavy fleet, this isn't a terrible option, but overall there are better options if you're open to running different types of fleets. Coming in at number 6, Space Geology. So break down what we get here. And again, the first bonus is never particularly combat related, so we haven't put too much thought into ranking those. We just kind of took that out of it, but 48.5% load boost is nice if you have a lot of farming operations going on or things of that nature. But more importantly, you're going to get 34% total warship armor, and that in and of itself is all right. It does apply to all ships in all instances, but it is just an armor buff. However, additionally, you will get 52.5% warship shield during cross nebula combat. So again, that is going to buff everything with additional shield. And then you additionally get another 6% warship attack during cross nebula combat, but 6% is just not a lot. So it is nice that, assuming you're looking at this from an NVN perspective, you're getting armor and shield and attack, but the attack isn't a lot. So you're mainly just getting armor and shield, which is nice, but I personally would much rather have HP and even more so attack. So that's why this is ranked so low. Coming in at number 5, Galaxy Trade. So if we look at the bonuses offered by Galaxy Trade, you're going to get 23% all resources gather speed up, which is definitely nice to have. You're going to get 12% navigation speed. Now, navigation speed is a bit more important for NVN events, but that being only 12% navigation speed, it's not a significant difference. That is pretty much never going to make the difference in a win or a loss in an NVN event, especially when you can just spend 500 corium to get a big movement speed boost that's going to outperform that. So beyond that, you're getting 84% destroyer HP during cross nebula combat. Now that is a lot of HP, so that's a really good buff, but unfortunately it's targeted at destroyers. So that's why it's not ranked as highly, because you don't really want to be running destroyers. And finally, 48% cruiser shield, which is nice. Cruisers are very strong right now, but this is just providing shield, and providing, again, things like HP and attack would be even better. Coming in at number 4, Colony Engineering. So if we look at the bonuses here, you're getting 16.5% warship build speed, which again is nice, but this first column hasn't been particularly relevant, and that's not going to change. You are going to get 20% total warship HP. That is a nice buff in that it applies to all ships at all times. However, unfortunately, it's only 20%, but because it's HP, that's still a moderate buff. Now, you are also going to get 52.5% frigate attack during cross nebula combat. So if you are running a frigate heavy fleet, that is really, really good. And finally, cruiser armor during cross nebula combat, you'll get 48%. So another nice buff to cruisers there, but because this you're going to be able to combine with total warship HP, you're going to get a much more hardy buff from the armor and HP combined. And of course, if you are running a mixed fleet that has cruisers and frigates, you're also getting a nice bonus to the frigate attack. So that's why we were able to rank this here. Coming in at number 3, extraterrestrial biology. If we look at the bonuses you get here, we're starting to get into the good stuff, already top 3. This is going to give 23% all resources gather speed up, which again is nice because you're always gathering resources. More importantly, 32% total warship shield. This is nice because again, this is going to benefit all warships in all situations. Moving on from there, 52.5% warship armor during cross nebula combat. So now you have a combo going with the shield and the armor buffs when you're doing NVN. And finally, another 9% warship HP during cross nebula combat. So what makes this one particularly desirable is that nothing about this discriminates based on what type of fleet or flagship you want to run. It is just giving all of your warships shield, armor, and HP when you're in cross nebula combat. So it's just a really nice defensive buff, period. So for that reason, it took the number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2, alien anthropology. I really like alien anthropology. It comes with a lot of good stuff. Firstly, 23% research speed, which, as we've touched on, definitely a nice perk. But when it comes to the combat, first you're going to get 34% total warship shield, which is again a buff that applies to all ships in all instances. Here's where we get into the really good stuff. We're going to get 52.5% cruiser attack during cross nebula combat. I would argue that you can at least make a pretty solid case for that being the most desired buff when it comes to cross nebula combat, in that you're getting so much attack onto really high attack ships. The final additional buff here, Destroyer Shield during cross-nebula combat, is not as important. It's 48% towards shields on your destroyers, but you're probably not running those. But the fact that you can get a significant boost to your cruiser attack and a nice boost to both their shield and the shield of any other warships that you happen to be running is very nice. So for that reason, we were able to give this number 2. Coming in at number 1, hidden up here, up top, Universe Archaeology. And I really like Universe Archaeology for a lot of reasons. Firstly, it's going to give 49.5% planet development, all resources output, and planet development is ultimately the best source of resources, so even that is really nice. But really, we're looking at the other perks here. So first, you're going to get 32% total warship armor, and that's just a nice armor buff to all ships in all instances. And here's the really heavy hitting one, 84% more cruiser HP during cross-nebula combat. That is a tremendous amount of cruiser HP, and it's being further bolstered by the 32% total warship armor. You're just making your cruisers so much tankier, and then on top of that, another 48% frigate armor during cross-nebula combat. Frigates are known for having really high armor, so if you are running some frigates in conjunction with all of your cruisers, you'll even make use of this third bonus here to yet again play into the strengths of that unit. So we're giving just an insane amount of HP to cruisers and a bunch of armor to everything, and then even more armor to frigates, which are already there just to be doing tanking. This is just a lot of really good stuff, and even the neutral buff in the first slot is very good. So for me, this was a clear number 1 priority in the showroom. But all right, so there you have it. That concludes my breakdown of the showroom and all of the bonuses that you can get ranked. But I'm curious, which ones you guys find the most important ones to go after, and where have you been investing your memory cubes and alien cubes? Let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, thank you guys very much for checking out this video. Please be sure to like, subscribe, all that stuff to appease the algorithm gods, and I will see you guys real soon. Till next time, peace!